CUPRA Leon is a different sort of hot hatch, very different in the case of this PHEV e-hybrid version. This is an unusual confection, but it deserves serious consideration from anyone prioritising performance with efficiency and wanting something just a little different in this segment.
Hot hatches can these days be very socially responsible, and if you doubt that, then here's one that sets out to change your mind, the CUPRA Leon e-hybrid. The name here may not be familiar, but the engineering formula delivered may well be. Ever since 2015, Volkswagen's sporty Golf GTE has offered a 1.4 litre TSI petrol engine mated to an electric motor powered by a lithium-ion battery, which gives you limited all-electric driving range. In more recent years, this more dynamic take on the PHEV plug-in formula has been replicated in similar products by two other Volkswagen Group brands, Skoda, who these days can offer you a plug-in version of their Octavia VRS, and CUPRA, who've brought us this CUPRA Leon e-hybrid. The Golf and the Octavia both offer this PHEV power plant in 204 PS form, but that's a bit of a weedy output for a car looking like this one. So this Spanish contender limits itself to the Golf GTE style 245 PS version of this powertrain. How does it fare? This CUPRA may have a socially responsible powertrain, but it still wants to be a hot hatch. Like other more conventional CUPRA Leons, this one gets sport suspension, which is lowered by 25mm at the front and 20mm at the rear, and a set of drive modes, Comfort, Sport and CUPRA, the latter for those red mist moments. These setups determine throttle response, gear shift timings from the DSG 7-speed auto, steering feel and the level of artificial engine noise that you'll want pumped into the cabin. An extra individual menu option allows you to set up all your own parameters if you don't like the preset ones. Under the bonnet, it's just as in a Golf GTE, which means a 150 PS, 1.4 litre TSI petrol engine mated to a 6-speed DSG auto gearbox and an 85 kilowatt electric motor powered by a 13 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery. That has a WLTP rated all-electric driving range of 34 miles, which of course you won't get anywhere near if you explore the quoted all-electric top speed of 80 miles an hour or start trying to throw the thing around too much. An extra curb weight addition of up to 60 kilos over a conventionally engined CUPRA Leon discourages you from doing that rather anyway. There's 400 Newton meters of torque on tap, and that facilitates a 0 to 60 miles an hour time of 6.7 seconds, 7 for the estate, en route to 140 mph flat out. Sensible family motoring has never been quite so much fun as this. Apart from an extra charging flap on the near side front wing, there are no significant visual changes differentiating this e-hybrid variant from other CUPRA Leons. So, like its showroom stablemates, this car looks really gym-toned in both its two offered body shapes. There's a 5-door hatch and an estate. All the core things here at the front are pretty much standard Leon, the long creased bonnet and the trapezoidal grille with its flanking LED headlights, but everything seems more dynamic and different. That grille has a dark chrome frame and it's embellished by a bold CUPRA logo, and the required overtaking presence, well, that's delivered by larger air intakes and a large front splitter. Move in profile and you might spot that this car sits a little lower than an ordinary Seat Leon, but you're more likely to spot visual changes like these darker finished door mirrors here. Plus, across the range, there are far larger wheels than you get on most regular Leons. Nearly all CUPRA variants feature these big 19-inch rims which house the copper-coloured Brembo brakes, and there is the alternative of a unique matte paint option with the kind of metallic complexity that you usually find on a supercar. The rear makes its own statement too, with two copper-coloured dual exhausts embedded on each side of this unique diffuser, which, along with this more overt roof spoiler, is one of the things that makes this CUPRA Leon's aerodynamics 8% better than the previous generation model. This coast-to-coast style full-width LED taillight treatment provides the finishing touch. Inside, you're treated to sports bucket seats, a leather-stitched CUPRA steering wheel and silver CUPRA sports pedals. And the copper-coloured theme continues too, most notably with the trimming around these prominent air vents, but also with the stitching that you get on the door handles and on the wheel. You also get a 10.25-inch interactive digital driver display to replace the conventional binnacle dials. And as with other Leons, there's a large central 10-inch infotainment touchscreen here, which reduces the button count. Plus there's the very compact Porsche-style shift-by-wire shifter for the standard DSG Auto gearbox. This CUPRA model also gets the smart interior wraparound lighting feature that's found on pricier Leons, which gives the cabin an unbroken arc of light wrapped around the entire width of the dashboard, and it continues on into the doors, and this glows in different colours to alert you to different features. Blind spot detection, for example. There are a few irritating foibles, the slider controls for the audio volume and the climate system, for example, and the fact that so many key elements are buried away in sub-screen menus. But build quality, that's strong. There are plenty of useful features on the voice-controlled central stack monitor, and rear parking sensors along with a rear view camera are both standard fit. In the back, we're a bit disappointed that the height of this central transmission tunnel makes it so difficult for middle seat passengers to be comfortably accommodated. Two people should be quite happy though, and they'll benefit from this fold down central armrest with its twin cup holders, and from the 3-zone climate control, which gives you the separate controls for these twin central vents. As usual with a PHEV, you'll have to accept a little less boot space, which here falls from 380 litres in a normal CUPRA Leon to just 270 in this hatch model. It's 470 in the alternative estate. Pushing forward, the 60-40 split rear bench frees up 1,210 litres of room across a load space that'll be virtually flat if you have the boot floor in its upper position. At the time of this test in summer 2021, the Leon e-hybrid hatch was priced in its most affordable VZ2 form from around £35,000, and in VZ3 245 PS guys from just under £37,000, allow around £1,100 more for the alternative estate body style. That looks good value against rivals like Audi's A3 Sportback 40 TFSIe and the Mercedes CLA 250e. As for equipment, well, base VZ2 models get DCC dynamic chassis control, speed-sensitive steering, 19-inch alloy wheels, and on the estate, roof rails too. The flagship VZ3 adds petrol blue Napa leather bucket seats, a heated steering wheel, and a wireless smartphone charging pad. Depending on the spec level chosen, there's plenty of autonomous driving tech and safety equipment too, fitted across the range. Predictive Adaptive Cruise Control, ACC, uses feeds from GPS data delivered from the navigation system and input from the front-mounted camera and traffic sign recognition, and that allows it to proactively adjust the cruise speed depending on the road layout ahead. When the road becomes rather more congested, Traffic Jam Assist takes all the stress out of driving and maintaining a safe distance to the vehicle in front. There's also an emergency assist system which can bring the Leon to a controlled stop if you're taken ill at the wheel, and a blind spot detection setup too, which alerts the driver to another vehicle in their blind spot. This CUPRA Leon e-hybrid boasts a WLTP rated all-electric driving range of up to 34 miles, and there's a hold feature which allows you to save battery charge for urban motoring that you might have to do later in any given trip. In deciding the budgetary case for this PHEV Cupra, you will of course need to factor in charging costs, but if you get your charging regime right on off-peak electricity, which will hopefully cost pennies rather than pounds to consume, then those bills shouldn't be too great. The combined range of the petrol and electric motor is around 660 miles, which makes a plug-in CUPRA Leon of this sort an ideal, comfortable car for the really long journeys that would probably defeat a full EV model in this class, like say a Hyundai Ioniq 5 or a BMW i4, or Cupra's own Born EV. And the electrified version of this Cupra will charge much quicker than a full EV. Charging a PHEV CUPRA Leon from a domestic socket would take around 5 hours, but using a garage wall box you'll be able to reduce your charging time period to around 3.5 hours instead. Bear in mind that only a single Mode 3 charging cable is included as standard though. The quoted WLTP combined cycle fuel returns for a CUPRA Leon e-hybrid hatch model is up to 217.3 mpg. For the estate e-hybrid variant, it's up to 201.8 mpg. And the CO2 reading, which will see your BIK tax payments rated at just 11%, is an impressive 30 grams per kilometre. That 30 grams per kilometre figure is for the hatch. For the estate, it's 31 grams per kilometre. Now these are pie in the sky figures, of course. If you don't charge up your CUPRA Leon e-hybrid very much and you use a bit of throttle, you'll be burning plenty of fuel, and possibly you'll be getting through quite a few sets of front tyres too. Insurance is either Group 27E or 28E, depending on the trim level you choose. Family folk who have dismissed the idea of a hot hatch on the basis of inefficient running costs might well like what CUPRA is serving up here. Now yes, you can have pretty much the same confection offered as either a Volkswagen Golf GTE or a Skoda Octavia BRS, but those two cars will be a touch too conservative for the kind of person who'll like this Leon. It's a bit sportier than the Golf or the Octavia to drive too, although obviously not quite as agile as the ordinary CUPRA Leon. The extra weight of that PHEV system has to tell somewhere. That setup also adds plenty to the bottom line asking price, but if you can justify that, there's plenty to like here. Being able to conduct nearly all your commuting duties under battery power and then being able to let rip on the back road home under petrol power is an enticing combination of virtues, particularly when it's packaged up like this, in a Leon like no other.